I'm Matt with eTrailer. Today when we talk about the CURT wall-mounted hitch receiver. Now this is going to be one that's designed for up to 2.5-inch shanks. So that's going to be able to accommodate most of our accessories out there. It does a really good job holding in this place, and it has a pretty high weight capacity. So let's take a closer look at it. So I think this will be great for actually most people out there, because most times you are going to be using an accessory that's going to use a 2-inch shank. It does have the ability to accommodate 2-inch shanks and 1.25-inch shanks. We'll just use a different position. But just make sure that you do have a wall strong enough to hold this up, where you're going to be using some studs to hold this in place. Now, like I was saying, right here, this is going to be great for your larger accessories. You're going to probably mainly put either ball mounts or tow bars in the 2.5-inch shank position. Now, when I remove this, I'll show you that other position. And that's going to be the vertical position. So right now, I just have this 2-inch shank ball mount, and I'll go in right through here. And a lot of times, they're fine just sitting just like this. But if you don't want to lose your pin and clip, you can just lift it up a bit, line it up through there, and hold it in place like that. Now I will say the 2-inch accessories I think fit in here a little bit better, because this opening for this distance here is going to be 2 inches exactly. So forward, not a lot of rattling. The side to side, there will be rattling, but if you're just going to have this in your garage, you shouldn't really experience too much of that. If you have anything like bike racks, that might be a little bit tough to put in the top of here, and it might not save you any space. So what I'd recommend in that case is checking out the smaller version of this CURT receiver. There is going to be a 2-inch variation on the very front of here, but it will work exactly the same way. Let's get a couple measurements to see how this is going to be fitting on your wall. So from the wall to the furthest point out, that's going to be about 7 inches. Just keep in mind, when we have our other accessories mounted in here, they are going to stick out a little bit further away. But to me, that's a better option than letting them sit on a shelf, because a lot of times when you got to take that accessory off, it can be kind of a hassle sometimes, especially if you have anything like this where we have some additional pins on here. That's probably going to get caught on something, especially if you have a mesh bottom to those shelves. You probably just don't want to deal with that. Or you could leave those accessories on the ground, which will introduce more moisture to them, which will be more likely of rusting them up. So this is just going to help them last longer. But you will have 2 different points where we can mount them to. So the hole furthest away from us, that's primarily going to be for your 2.5-inch shanks. That's going to be 3 inches away from the wall. And the hole closest to me, that's going to be about 4.5 inches away from the wall. That's mainly going to be used for your 2-inch shanks, but like I had earlier, that 2.5-inch shank I had a fairly long back to it, and it won't allow me to line up with that one closest to the wall. So instead, I'd probably pull that out some with that hole I typically use for my 2-inch shanks. And you notice when I'm kind of pulling this back and forth, since this is a heavier ball mount, and we do have a thicker powder coat here, it does feel like it's trying to stick a little bit. But after a few uses, you'll kind of wear that down a bit. It'll feel a lot easier to do. So overall, I do think this is going to be a solid option if you're just trying to organize your garage or your home so you don't have these accessories laying all over the place, because it is going to be great for a lot of different ones, whether they're ball mounts, cargo carriers, tow bars. This is going to meet a lot of different applications. And what's really cool is, since it is so small, and if you do have smaller items like this, you can get a couple of these that either put side by side or even stack up, just really fit your garage needs. Now, if you guys do go with this, let us know how it's working for you in either a comment or review, and if it has made organizing everything a little bit easier. Now we can talk about how easy this is going to be to install, because it doesn't really take too long. It probably took me like 10 minutes, so we can walk you through that process now. With this installation, first we want to make sure we're going to be installing it in the right spot for us. So make sure you find a spot where you're going to have a stud, because we're going to want a lot of support for this, since it can hold some pretty heavy items on here. And I want to make sure this is going to be in a good spot for me. So if I have anything that's going to be heavier, I probably don't want this too high. But for me personally, I don't want it down here either because I don't want to bang my shins on it. So about hip height is probably going to be good for me today. So I'll just kind of put it here. I'm going to try to make sure this is as straight as possible. I'm going to grab a pencil or a pen, mark out where these holes are sitting, and then we can drill those out. You're going to have a recommended bit in your instructions. I'm going to be using a 1/8 inch bit today though, and we're just going to make some pilot holes. Make sure you do that for both of them. Line it back up with those holes. We're going to grab some of our hardware that does come with your kit. We're going to make sure that washer's on here too. Line it up. And then we're going to screw this into place. I'm just going to kind of lightly do the top. I don't want to go in all the way quite yet. I want to make sure that bottom hole gets lined up too. So just start here as well. All right, there you go. Then I'll come back up to the top and finish it out. Make sure that feels pretty good. It's not going to go anywhere. And then we can put our heavy accessories on here. So then I got this ball mount. Make sure it lines up with that hole. In my case, it's not lining up with that first one, so I'll line it up with that second one. Just like that. That pretty much do it for the installation. Now, if you guys have any other questions, let us know here at eTrailer. And again, I'm Matt, and thanks for watching.